If you're still watching this, thanks for your interest. This is going to be a really one heck of a project, is the only thing I can think of. I mean, I think I've already said that before, but it's turned into a bigger project than really what I had originally intended. But it really shouldn't even be done. This car shouldn't be fixed. It's kind of beyond repair for the average person or what people would think. It's not beyond repair for me though. I like the challenge and I accept the challenge and I'm going to see it through. And so if you follow this video along, if you watch the whole progress of the whole playlist I'm building, you're going to see a car that shouldn't be fixed get fixed. So with that said, let's get started. Show you a little bit about what's going on here. So like I showed you last time, I was doing a brake line. I showed you guys how to make a brake line earlier. Just wanted to show you guys just one more quick tip when it comes to making brake lines. So this is the one that goes on the firewall. This is probably one of the more complicated lines in the whole car. So what you do is you start with a length that's longer than what you're going to need, and you don't cut it to length because you're not sure what the length is going to be just yet. But you start at one end, and you kind of get at least a couple little bends in, and then start taping it to the original line, and then you can just kind of follow it all the way up and just keep taping as you're going. And when it's all said and done, you will have the correct pattern for your new brake line, and it should fit like factory, and it will look a whole heck of a lot better than just running a line. One more thing. Somebody on, it might have been YouTube, but it might have been Facebook. I'll have to go back and look. But he was mentioning that he has problems with the brake lines leaking at the fitting when he makes them himself. And he said he was kind of surprised to see the way I'm flaring them, because I'm actually doing one step of flaring. And he was saying that you're supposed to follow up, so you remove the die from the end of the brake line that you use to flare it. So you would take that out, and then you would run just this tool straight back into it, with the clamp on it. And I don't know why I've never done it that way, because I went and I looked at my old ancient package here, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but it actually does show that being the final step. So technically, he's absolutely right. I'm supposed to be doing it that way, but I don't think I ever have. I've been working on cars for probably 25 years or so, but I don't do it consistently. It's not something I do for work. So I can't remember ever doing it that way, and for some reason, I kind of feel like I was told not to do that. And when I did this one, I did do that. I followed back through a little bit, and I noticed that you can't really see, the camera doesn't want to focus. I noticed that the hole that it made is just slightly off center, and I wonder if, I almost seem to recall being told that's why not to do that, but in either case, I've never had them leak. I've never had a problem. So I don't know if I'm going to continue on by doing that second step or just keep doing it the way I've always done it. But I'll probably just keep doing it the way I've always done it because I've never had leaks. So just wanted to show you this little tip. And there we have it. Two nearly identical brake lines. So I'm going to take off all the factory clamps on the original brake line. I'll bead blast those and paint them and reuse them. That's another benefit of making the lines the right way, like the right shape, is that you can reuse the factory locations of mounts. So, all right, let's get back to this regular update. Brake line. And I get the calipers and everything all cleaned up and painted. New rubber line installed. I've already done the power steering lines. Couldn't do the rear brake lines yet, and there was a reason for that I haven't told you about yet. I'll show you that in a minute. Rear shocks are all installed. Everything back here is all cleaned up, painted. These are those same old rotors that I kind of bead blasted them and then painted them and cleaned them up. Putting the wheels back on, takes the paint off, and I don't really care about that. It was more about just getting them clean. So both sides look like that. Cleaned up, looking pretty good. Lipstick on a pig at this point. So we are underneath the driver's side floor. I know you can't see that well, and I apologize for that. This is where it gets real, all right? See that rot? Was just a floorboard. The rocker panel isn't as bad as it looks. But what I did is I jacked underneath this frame rail the other day. I jacked under it once and I didn't have a problem. And then when I was outside, when I was doing the brakes the other day, I jacked under it and it crushed. Now, the whole front section is solid. I mean, the floorboard's junk, I already knew that. But the frame is solid all through here, where all the suspension connects and everything's all really solid. It just so happens that where I jacked is not solid. That spot. So I was jacking there because I wanted to be able to put my jack stand right here, where I knew it was solid. And so I was trying to give myself room to put the jack stand under there, and it was a bonehead move, and it crushed the pretend frame. It's not a real frame. This is a unibody car, and the frame just stops right there. So it really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot, and I can rebuild it, okay? And I will rebuild it. So now, I also put a test pipe in. I thought the catalytic converter was plugged up, and I took it out, and it was perfect. After I cut it off, there was nothing wrong with the catalytic converter at all. Bunch of wasted time today. Now on to something else. This is another reason why I can't do the brake lines yet, and this is a little bit more scary than maybe the first thing I showed you. So this is where the rear suspension mounts up. I apologize for the camera being terrible. But you can see how this box section here is completely rotted out. I've already opened it up a little bit by hand, just digging at it, so you can see how bad it really is. And I already knew about this when I bought the car, that the rear rockers were gone, but that's easy for me to fix. It's not easy. I want to say it's easy, but it's not easy. It's pretty major work, but I'm going to get it done. I already knew there was some rot underneath, but the brakes blew. They didn't even work. So that's work that had to be done to be able to move this car around, although the e-brake turned out to work, which was a surprise. But so I figured, why not just attack that work now and get it done? And cleaned up the suspension. Now that's all stuff I don't have to do later. So after I get done with all that rust work, then I'll already be a step ahead. Side of the car, the passenger side isn't nearly as bad. That rear shock mount or suspension mount is fine. It's a little rusty, but it's not rotted. I can clean it up, put some rust preventer on it, paint it, and it'll be fine. The frame, the pretend unibody frame on the passenger side is also totally fine. It does need some floorboard work on the very front section of it. But again, it's not that bad. I can easily fix just a floorboard. This frame on this side that bent up like that, it's kind of concerning, to be honest, but I know I can fix it. So I'm not that concerned. I mean, if you've got a welder and you can cut out metal and weld in new metal, you can pretty much fix anything. And I hope to show you that as I go along on this. If you think this is interesting, if you want to see this get fixed, see what this car is going to be like when it's done, which is going to be really nice. I mean, it's getting a complete, full paint job. The hole underneath is getting done over. Any rot is getting taken out and fixed. And so if you want to see that, you want to see an idiot fix a car that shouldn't be fixed, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications every time I make a new video. I hope from this point on my videos are maybe showing more actual work being done, but I kind of wanted to catch you guys up to date. So the very next thing I'm going to be doing is taking out all the seats, taking out the carpet, and really looking at the entire floor and seeing just what is it that I have to work with. Where do I have to cut out metal to get to good metal, or cut out rust to find good metal? Because it's going to be a chase. I mean, I'm going to be going through and trying to find spots where I can attach to the original car. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, guys. Follow along. Thanks for watching.